Okay, cool. All right. Hey, y'all. You are looking at a mobile billboard. Are you getting ready to go? Okay, go ahead. Let me back up. That's Monica Simpson, the executive director. I can't turn my camera around, so I'm gonna do it like this. With SisterSong, the reproductive justice organization repping the South. Sure. My name is Monica Simpson. I'm the executive director of the National Women of Color Reproductive Justice Collective, MONICASIMPSO.
Tell me some of the motivation for this today.
The motivation for this is that we still need to lift up the name of Breonna Taylor. She still has not gotten the justice that she deserves. There are still unanswered questions. There is still healing that this family needs. There is still justice that we need. And what we really wanted to bring attention to today was that what happened to Breonna Taylor was also a reproductive injustice and that she deserved justice. She put out to the world that she wanted to be a parent. She wanted to be able to create family, and that was stolen from her because of police brutality. And so the intersections are real here. And as a reproductive justice leader, we wanted to make sure that this intersection was something that people understood. That whenever police brutality happens, whenever violence happens in our community, it's not just the individual who seeks the justice and who we need to hold up. We have to think about the families that this impacts. We have to think about the future that this actually steals away from us. And so that's why this was important for us. We wanted to make sure that we were here, that reproductive justice activists were here to support this week of action that's being put on by Black Lives Matter Louisville and to be able to be in strong solidarity. Reproductive justice activists will definitely be in the number, and we will be out in support of all of the activities that are happening throughout the city this weekend. And this mobile truck will continue to move throughout the weekend, through our communities, through the streets, in front of the offices of all the folks that we know still need to be held accountable for this, to make sure that we drive this home. It's a very haunting message to be reminded that someone wanted to be able to create family and that was stolen from them. And so this is a big issue. We're going to continue to stay focused on this issue, and we're going to continue to stay in solidarity with the folks in Louisville.
Will the message on the billboard change, or is it going to be this the whole week?
The main message is around reproductive justice. And so we really wanted to amplify the quote and the tweet rather that Breonna Taylor put out herself, even her own words that said that she didn't even know when she was going to have a baby, but she had the name of her child already picked out. And how many people, right? As we think about all the folks that we have lost to police brutality, state-sanctioned violence, we think about the children that leave behind. We think about folks who were not even able to think about creating family or what they want to do with their lives because their lives were stolen. And so this issue is it's so big, it's major, and so that's why it's important for reproductive justice to also be centered in this conversation. Sure. Absolutely. Reproductive justice, a lot of people think about repro health and they think about abortion to access, abortion to contraception, but reproductive justice is bigger than that. It's more intersectional than that. It brings into the full account of the fullness of our lives as women of color, people of color, Black women. It fights for our human right to be able to have the children that we want in the ways that we want, to be able to prevent or end pregnancies without shame, and to be able to have access to do that, and to be able to parent our children in healthy and safe environments. And that is absolutely critical to the issue that we're seeing here around police brutality and how that is really impacting our communities. Our children deserve safe communities. Our people deserve to live in communities without fear of violence or fear from the state. And that in itself is also reproductive. Sure. Our organization, SisterSong, is a national organization. We're based in Atlanta, Georgia, but we do work across many of the states in the South in particular because we have a deep Southern focus to our work. And we are building work with birth workers and reproductive justice advocates here in Louisville, which is why we want to be a part of this particular action.
Anything else you'd like to add?
Anything else I should add?
No, I think that's it. We're just amplifying. Yeah. The three main people we want to resign. Yes. Oh, you want me to come back? Okay. Sorry, I'm trying to hold this at the same time. We want to reiterate that we are demanding the resignation of Erica Shields, the new chief they put in place at LMPD. Mayor Fisher for failed leadership of the city for many years, but particularly in this situation. And also Commonwealth Attorney Tom Wine, who continues to ignore and jeopardize the lives of Black Louisvillians. Oh, yeah. Okay.
I think it's important to note that what has happened to Breonna, what is going on here in Louisville, what has been organizing that's been going on, and particularly with Black Lives Matter Louisville and all the activists, has brought in national attention. It's brought in organizations like SisterSong. It's brought in so many different people across so many different movements who want justice, who want to be here on the front lines of this work. And so that speaks to the power of the people of Louisville. It speaks to the power of the organizing of Black folks here on the ground in this area. And we are following their lead. We're going to continue to push with them. And we stand in solidarity with all of the demands in this report. Beautiful. Thank y'all. Thank y'all so much for capturing this. We really appreciate it.
And lifting up Trust Black Women with that, Sarah Williams from Lexington, like we said, this fight doesn't just end in just Louisville. Like Monica just said, folks around the world are actually pushing for activists and organizers in Louisville to be able to receive justice. And what we know is like one of the blatant, most deliberate operation of injustice. Sarah, do you want to go ahead and let folks know what's going on in Lexington? This doesn't only stop in Louisville.
Yeah, so I mean, we have the connection of what happened with the murder of Breonna Taylor to Brett Hankinson, who actually was an officer here at the Lexington Police Department and was found to be, unfit to be a police officer. That was something determined by his superiors within the Lexington Police Department, and that allowed him. He was able to retire and to leave, and that allowed him to actually be employed by the Louisville Metro Police Department and participate in the murder of Breonna Taylor. And so that's just one of the ways in which Louisville and Lexington remain connected. And there are a lot of things still going on in Lexington with targeting of leaders, targeting of our lawyers who are representing us for charges that we're still facing from the protest over the summer of 2020. And then also the firing of a Black officer that we were in communication with, which is the equivalent of he lost his pension and he was fired after a police disciplinary hearing, which the easiest summary of that is a metaphorical modern day lynching for what they've done to this Black officer. And so that was something that's actually reached national news, and we're not done amplifying that because it's the power structure here is deeply connected, and it goes back centuries, to be honest, just like in other southern cities, southern towns. And we're giving a lot of pushback against that. As Ida B. Wells said, the way to right wrongs is to turn the light of truth on them. And we have been shining that light of truth really for 6 years, but definitely hardcore in ways they can no longer run from since taking to the streets in response to Breonna Taylor and George Floyd and Ahmaud Arbery. And so there are many of us still facing charges. And we want to continue to amplify that and keep people aware of that, and also of the targeting, because we've contacted local clergy of all walks of faith. We're also attempting further to contact further national news outlets, because we need people just to be aware of the extensive targeting that is going on against protest leaders here in Lexington, because it's continued. And if for some reason they were to escalate that targeting, we want people to know we're not suicidal. We are not depressed. If something happens to us, know that it was the power structure here, the Lexington Police Department and the Fraternal Order of Police Bluegrass Lodge number 4, that had something to do with it. Because we have been charged with inciting a riot when there was no property damage to occur at any point. Nobody was harmed during any of the protests. Lexington was really distinctly different than a lot of other places. But in an attempt to silence us, they arrested us twice, the protest leaders, and charged us twice. The second time they arrested us, I was literally walking across the street. They charged me with jaywalking and inciting a riot. And there are a lot of other trumped up charges that they've put there in an attempt to discredit us. And we know that this is no different than how the system has historically functioned. And I'm just so happy today to tie this back into amplifying the fact that Breonna deserved reproductive justice, that she wanted to be a mother. This was something that I spoke to early on when we were in the streets as somebody who is a registered nurse, a doula, a mother of 6 children, that not only did Breonna have the opportunity to birth life taken away from her when her life was taken from her, but also the children around her, the younger people around her that looked up to her, that she helped care for, they lost a mother-like figure right? And that can't be replaced, no matter how much money is handed out. And even if we get some semblance of justice, which we have yet to see, that does not replace Breonna's life. And so I'm glad to see that this connection has been made nationally with SisterSong. Thank you for the work that you do. And it just makes me very happy to see that we are bringing this issue to the forefront, because not only are we having opportunities snatched from us to be parents or to parent our children already here at the hands of police murder, but the fact is that Black women and Black children are dying at higher rates from simply birthing children within this system than what we were in 1850s when we were considered property, when we and our children were considered property. And so I think that's important for people to understand as well, that it's not just methodic genocide occurring in the streets at the hands of police and the modern day KKK slave patrol, but also when we're entering into these hospitals, we are still being treated like disposable property, and it is disproportionately costing us our lives and the lives of our children. Thank you.
Thank you, Sarah. And please lift up, what's the social media handles for that?
Hashtag drop the charges Lex. And there's a petition where you can also find a very detailed summary of what's gone on over the past almost year with this. That is www.tinyurl/drop the charges. And I can drop that in the chat.
I'm glad Sarah was on here to lift up what she's been going through, but also knowing that the reach of an individual officer goes further than what we think it goes. Sometimes we're just talking about what they do in their own district or city, but we know, like anywhere else in Kentucky, they have certainly made sure that they've infiltrated other police forces, and that they've also infiltrated other police agencies. Hankerson has also been found guilty of um, destroying women's lives through sexual assault, trying to make
Yes.
sure the words we use are very much not triggering the people. And so those are the things that, like, we have to also lift up in wondering who is supposed to be a peace officer and how a peace officer behaves, right? We're just looking for reform, and that's what we'll get. We'll keep them roving and moving around. We're here to demand defunding the police at all costs, by any means necessary.
Yes, very much so. I think it's important for people to understand that, a bad police officer at one particular police department can very easily affect a police department elsewhere, whether it's within the same state or in a different state. And until we defund the police and shift those resources away from the modern day slave patrol, right, and the KKK, to resources that are actually needed in our community for us to live our lives autonomously, and freely, then we're going to continue to see this as a problem.
On that one. Oh, hey y'all, how y'all doing?
Please tell the people who you are.
I'm Chanel Hill, SisterSong State Consultant here in Kentucky. Where y'all at? Come on through.
Yeah.
And I'm just so excited about this because they look really angry riding past. We did a wonderful job.
Yes, 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 yes.
But this is really beautiful, lifting up a piece that I think we miss a lot of times, especially with mothers who've lost their babies due to state violence, and this beautiful woman who lost her child. I mean, lost her child, as I'm thinking about her mother, but her sister as well, but lost her future. And we don't think about that often. We want to condemn people's mourning, but we don't think about the life that actually has been mourned.
Absolutely, absolutely. Thank you so much, Chanel. So y'all, we just wanted to know
That's so cute.
what's this song?
Yeah, sorry about
So
that,
this is
y'all.
art, for real, you know.